because ultimately what made me believe in my ability to do the job was reps, getting the reps, doing the things. And you just have to do it. Like, it's not a choice. It's sort of like if you jumped out of a plane, you're gonna pull the cord for your parachute. Like, you know, that's kind of how the work was, just getting out there and doing it scared, being courageous, doing it scared, doing it anyway, and then having it work, and sometimes having it not work, but seeing that you could adjust.
Welcome to Limitless Minds, the podcast where curiosity meets greatness. If you're ready to discover what it takes to be truly limitless and push beyond your own limits, you're in the right place.
Welcome back to the Limitless Minds Podcast. We are in the midst of an absolute revolution / takeover from Harry and DJ. Travis and I just co-opting the space for 4 episodes, for 4 amazing, wonderful episodes. The Success Leaves Clues. We've rebranded. We've rebranded the Limitless Minds Podcast to be called the Success Leaves Clues Podcast for the next 4 weeks. And we're going to just kind of look over, investigate, dive into, figure out what success is to people and how they have become successful in their own worlds. We are going to be interviewing everybody from TV and film directors to former secret agents, dun, 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 to who else knows? Who knows? Probably some pro football players and things to that nature. So more to come. But we are starting off every episode with our dun, dun, dun. Are you ready, Travis?
Here we go.
Nooch Nuggets.
Nooch Nuggets.
And these are going to be nuggets about neutrality that we've either experienced in our own life, coached people up on, or have just witnessed. So I went first the last episode, so you get to go first this time. Travis, give us a Nooch nugget from the world of Travis L. Thomas.
You got it, Josh. So I'm thinking about Nooch Nuggets for this episode. This weekend, a good friend of mine, she and her husband dropped me a text, and they have I think she's maybe a freshman or a sophomore in high school. She's a high-level swimmer on the East Coast, and she was swimming in a big 4-day meet this past weekend. And 4 days, she was in the middle, kind of the early part of day 3, and she was struggling. And they've had me kind of send her some voice memos in the past. Hey, can you, and I think maybe she's read one of my books. God bless her. And they're like, hey, can you?
That's neutrality in its own right.
They're like, she had a tough, they're like, she hasn't been great, right? First 2 days, hasn't been hitting her times. And this morning she had a tough race. She barely qualified for the final. But she's just feeling exhausted. She's feeling discouraged. And there's still basically 2 days left. Is there anything you could say to her? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I just left her a voice memo. And, Josh, in the spirit of neutral thinking, I basically said like, hey, I know that the races have been tough. Hey, right. It is what it is. That's okay. And I realized you've got, she had another tough race later that day, including a whole other day. And I was like, listen, I'm like, the whole goal here is, I said, you're an elite swimmer. Right. So, Josh, I talk about the equation V plus E equals P. Validation plus encouragement equals progress. Right. So I wanted to validate her. I'm like, you're an elite swimmer. You're swimming in elite races. Right. So, okay, you have high expectations. The results aren't there right now. Hey, that's totally fine. It's okay to be discouraged. I said, but your focus now is just on your next race. Your focus is just on your next race. And instead of thinking about all the other races and becoming overwhelmed. And I said, just focus on the next race. And I said, and also you're elite. This is what elite swimmers do, right? This is a grind. This is hard. Being elite is hard. Being excellent is hard. So instead of resisting it or fighting it or wondering why it's hard, be the one who embraces it and says, yeah, this is hard because being elite is hard. Right. So let's just shift our focus to the next race, focus on recovering over the next few hours, and then focus on 2 or 3 behaviors in that race that are going to allow you to have the best race you can have. Right. Keep it simple. I know you're going to crush it. Right. And so I heard back from the parents, like the next day, at the end of the next day, they're like, hey, just want to give you a heads up. The race that she barely qualified for the final, they're like, she won the final. She set a PR. She raced in her relays. She's done fantastic. They're like, her attitude has been a complete shift. Like, she's doing great. And I'm like, hey, awesome. I'm like, I don't know if what I said had any bearing or not. She's elite. She might have just figured it out on her own. But what I take from that, Josh, in the world of what we do from neutral thinking is, that negative spiral of, I've had a few bad results, and now I start thinking about, now a bunch of them, it's going to spiral out of control. And what we can do with neutral thinking for ourselves or with someone that we're helping on is like, hey, acknowledge, like, okay, I understand how you're feeling, right? We talk about the emotions, the feelings, the judgments. Those are all valid. That's the validation. So feel them. And now, hey, what can we do to focus on the next right step, the next race? And so, okay, the next race, hey, let's focus on recovery. And now what do we need to focus on in the next race to have a good race? That's it. Then we'll take care of the next race. Then we'll take care of the next race.
We don't need to waste energy on the past. We can focus on the here
don't bring the past into the present, and don't pull the possible negative future into your present. Let's just focus on what you can do now to have the next best race. And again, we talk about making the complex simple and the big small. And so, that one just kind of came out of nowhere this weekend, and it felt relevant to what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I love that, dude. Tell you just ripped off that equation really quickly, and I've known you forever, and I've never heard that equation. So I would love to get that one down, as well as probably the people listening to this podcast. So
yes, especially for coaches, teachers, managers, leaders, parents, all of us. To help someone get neutral and then take that next right step is, right, someone dumps all of their frustrations and their feelings and everything they're feeling. If you're like me as a parent, you want to argue with them and say, you shouldn't be feeling that way, or, hey, quit being ungrateful, or, hey, it's not a big deal. And it's like, no, that doesn't help. Right. So the best thing we can do as a coach, right, or just a friend, is listen, right? We listen, and then we don't have to agree with what they're feeling, but we can validate it by saying, like, oh, I understand why you would feel that way. That stinks. I understand. It's like that validation.
That's validation. That's V.
V is validation. Plus, so once they feel validated, then we can add plus E, right, which is encourage them. Encourage them what? To embrace reality and focus on the next action or the next few actions. Okay, hey, I understand, but that is your reality. So what can we do now? Encourage. What can you do now to make progress, to take that next step? And so you help them, you empower them. And once they feel heard, they're going to be open to solutions and help. And you're guiding them to solutions that they come up with. And then what's going to happen is they're going to take action, which is what we need. And therefore they're going to make progress. Right.
Love that.
It might not be the exact outcome they want, but they're going to make progress. And then we can go, okay, how you feeling now? Tell me about it. What does that next step look like? Great. Let's take action, and we get more progress. So V plus E equals progress.
I love that. And that's a spectacular, just coaching tool, really, for coaches out there, for just family members, for teammates, whatever. V plus E equals P. Validation plus empowerment, or encouragement. Sorry.
Either one. Yeah, either one works. Yep.
Encouragement equals progress.
Yeah.
Love that.
That's my Nooch nugget, Josh. What do you got?
That's a solid Nooch nugget. My Nooch nugget is not a personal story. Or anything to that nature. It is actually, I don't know. Did you watch any of the Club World Cup? FIFA Club World Cup, for those of you who don't know, is FIFA put on an event in the United States this summer. It's called the Club World Cup. I legitimately still have no clue how the teams got in there. I don't know why Arsenal wasn't in. We're the greatest team ever.
Don't ask questions. Don't ask questions, Josh.
Don't ask. Just accept and move on. But it's a tournament of all these clubs from around the world, and it's like a World Cup for these clubs. And so Chelsea ended up winning. Spoiler alert. They beat the great Paris Saint-Germain, which you're obviously very they know a lot about.
Right, based on my outfit, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Oui.
And my Nooch nugget actually comes from their captain, Reece James. So did you watch any of it? Did you see that game? Did you see the final? What happened? Everything like that nature?
I can't say I watched the whole thing, but obviously I'm a huge soccer fan. But no, I wasn't able to watch the whole thing. But it was kind of like on a second screen on vacation here.
Yeah. That's kind of what happened to me. I saw it in the background, saw 3-0. I was like, wow, pretty impressive.
Yeah, crazy.
Maybe they'll get a sponsor for the front of their shirt.
Oui.
But what happened afterwards was really interesting. And so you've been a part of soccer tournaments a lot. And when a team wins, especially on these big stages, typically what happens is some dignitaries will be handing out medals and trophies. Did you see this?
I did.
So they hand now there's the president of FIFA's there, and the president of the United States is there,
Yes.
Donald J. Trump.
Yes.
And it's that's unbelievable that they get to meet the president, and Chelsea seems pretty excited about meeting him and things of that nature. And so they hand the trophy over to Reece James, who's the captain. And typically what happens is from that moment, the dignitaries just kind of slide subtly off to the side and let the team have their moment. And typically the captain's going to get real low, whoa, and then throw the thing up, and everybody jumps around and confetti blows and all sorts of good stuff. But for unknown reasons, President Trump decided to just kind of hang out. Maybe just like the soccer players. I don't know what he's doing. He's just hanging out. And the FIFA president's like, hey, come on, you got to get off. You got to get off. He asks him 3 times to get off. He doesn't get off. He just hangs out there. And all the Chelsea players are kind of looking around like, what do we do? Cole Palmer's right over his right shoulder. Cole Palmer's the Chelsea striker who's pretty famous, scored 2 goals in this game, I believe, and is like kind of just over President Trump's shoulder. And he's just kind of like, what do we do? He literally mouths it. What do we do? And then Reece James looks over and is like, I got this. And he goes down, lifts the trophy up. Everybody starts celebrating, and he starts moving forward. So as he moves forward, what happens is the Chelsea team follows him, and President Trump just kind of gets enveloped in the mesh. And then gets pushed out kind of the backside and then is escorted off the stage. But I thought that was a very Nooch nugget by Reece James of just like, okay, this is different. This isn't what it normally happens. No. I'm not going to freak out about it. What I'm going to do is what we do as captains is we lift the trophy and we cheer and we bring our team with us. And he did that. And I thought that was a pretty good neutral nugget as well. If you haven't seen it on social media,
it's great.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I honestly think Trump just kind of wanted to hang out with the guys.
I think so.
Because it was fun. It was a party. Why not?
I think he was the best defender they faced all game.
Oh, shots fired at Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain could have used some Patriot missile defenses against Chelsea. But those are my Nooch nuggets. And it's funny that we're talking a little bit about the government and kind of blending in without being noticed. Because our guest, you like that transition?
Ooh.
Heck yeah.
Oh man, smooth, it's like I can already tell every podcast we're going to be raising the bar on the transition. Transition, and you totally caught me off guard on that one.
So this transition is to our next guest, who I'm going to read her. I'm going to read her bio, and she's awesome. Just so you all know, Travis and I got to meet our next guest out in San Diego. We were in San Diego at a kind of like a mastermind conference leadership group. Put on by our great friend Lauren Johnson.
Shout out to Lauren.
Elite by Choice. Great name. And she just said she wasn't going to do it this year, but we're gonna make her do it because it's an awesome thing. We always get to meet amazing people. And one of the people we got to meet was Holly Stofa. And Holly was a senior intelligence agent at the CIA for 24 years. She started as a cartographer, and then she became a case officer. For those of you who don't know, case officers are the people that go to random countries. We don't know what country she's been in. We didn't ask her. We didn't want to pry. But basically, her job was to recruit agents, recruit people to help the CIA do whatever the CIA needed to do. So pretty amazing. So we're going to get to talk to Holly about kind of what success means to her and her field of 24 years and, how she kind of operated, what she could tell us. I'm pretty excited to learn about that, but I'm just going to read her bio. So Holly Stofa is a senior intelligence advisor, executive, and mental performance coach. Spent 24 years at the CIA, beginning as a cartographer and then became a case officer. She grew up on the Eastern Shore of Maryland and traveled really the world. She was named the Operations Officer of the Year for her division and later served as, get this, ready for this one, a leadership coach to CIA operatives and their leaders.
How elite is that?
It's pretty good. She currently writes a bi-weekly LinkedIn newsletter called Spy Identity. She serves as an advisory board member at the University of Maryland School of Business in the Masters in Management program. And she's also, we can do the math, but she's also a 19th season as a high school field hockey coach. Hey guys, how come Coach isn't here today? Don't worry about it.
Or is she?
Or is she here? We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
She helps leaders and elite performers develop greater self-connection so they can show up for others and find greater joy in all areas of life. She has an MS from George Mason and a BS from Salisbury University. We're going to have to get the nicknames of those universities when we start talking to her. But without further ado,
nice. Let's
welcome in Holly. So welcome, Holly, to the podcast, the Limitless Minds Podcast. Success Leaves Clues, the takeover and the revolution that Travis and I are running here at Limitless Minds. Our bosses don't know we're running it. But Holly and Travis and I met, as I mentioned, in San Diego. And quick funny story, we're at a bar having dinner after the event with basically the entire group, and I am talking. I think I was talking to you, Travis, on the side, and I had left my phone on the table with Holly and a couple of others. And sure enough, when I get on the plane the next day, and I'm looking through my photos, they had taken my phone, opened it up, and just started snapping photos of themselves and random stuff. So true to form, I think Holly would be the appropriate thing.
But Holly, yes, Holly, what other information did you get off of Josh's phone?
Well, if I told, that would really defeat the purpose.
It's a true pro. True pro right there. First answer, a true pro.
There it is. True professional. So, and so we're just going to kind of dive into it here. And I guess for me, and for our listeners, this is obviously a different career path than most, I would say. What for you in terms of your role as a case officer, right? And that's where we're gonna dive into that. And then obviously I want to get into the leadership stuff too. I know Travis probably has a ton of questions about that, but this is the Success Leaves Clues. And so we want to know kind of like, what is success to you? And we're going to get into that. And I also kind of want to ask a little bit about like kind of how this part of your life, how that career even happened. So, But first of all, what is success to you? What does it look like?
So we actually have a phrase in the DO, the Directorate of Operations, which is the so-called spy directorate where the case officers live and work. And the answer to almost everything is it depends. So it depends whose measuring stick you're using. It depends what context you're talking about. I will answer the question, but I'll need to define some parameters. So if you mean success for me as a case officer or any of us, it's about collecting information that's useful to policymakers and informing them and avoiding strategic surprise. And so what does that translate to? It translates to finding people that can do that, developing trust-based relationships with them, and convincing them that you can protect them so that they'll share that information with you. So success means doing that successfully enough times that you can produce useful intelligence and get promoted, maybe get whatever leadership position you're looking at. But then as you move into leadership, which I guess we'll talk about that later, then success means the success of all the people on your team. So as an individual, though, at the practitioner level, that's what it means for a case officer. And I'm sure I'm leaving out something. If any of us are listening, they'll be sure to let me know. But on a personal level, I always say that my greatest achievement in my career was getting through almost a quarter of a century doing that work, still being married and having 3 pretty well-adjusted kids. So to me, that's the real success in life. So I call it micro success and macro success.
That's interesting. And you were able to continue to coach. We were making jokes about, hey, how come Coach Holly's not here today? And it's don't ask that question. But you were able to do that you said in your bio said you were doing that for 19 years and you were a case officer or in the CIA for 24 years. So there's overlap there.
Yeah.
So you were able to do both. I have trouble coaching my kids like rec basketball team for like 6 weeks and being to the things. Like how did you juggle that? How did you manage that?
So that is becoming a popular question, which is interesting. I hadn't thought about it as looking very difficult from the outside, and it was a lot to juggle, but as well as I do, when you're motivated, when you're committed to something and things matter to you, you figure out a way. And so, I think when people talk about balance and people debate work-life balance, for example, I think the mistake that people make is thinking that balance means equal. And if you think about a seesaw, a seesaw can be balanced like this without anybody actually being on the ground. It can still be tilted, but not all the way lopsided one way or the other. Yeah. So it just kind of goes back and forth between both of those things. High school coaching is seasonal. So it's only that couple 3 months a year that I'm less flexible work-wise, career-wise at the time. And then the rest of the year, I can do whatever's needed. And then enter parenthood at some point. That's when I actually took a break from high school coaching because I still had my career. And that became almost too much of a puzzle to figure out because a seesaw only goes like this. There is no third axis there. So I took that break, but then as the kids got older, I was able to go back to it. So it's been a challenge, but they both matter to me. And if you set boundaries, you can figure it out.
Yeah. So Holly, if we go more towards the beginning of your career, was this a field that you always wanted to get into, or how did you find your way? We all have this idea based on TV and film of the CIA and what that world looks like, but how did you end up in it?
So it is not something that I always wanted to do. I knew very little about it, and almost from the outside looking in, it looks like I ended up in it by accident, and yet the universe kind of conspires in your favor a lot of times. And they say sometimes the job finds you. And in my case, I think that's what happens. A lot of my colleagues coming out of really high level, prestigious schools, knowing this was what they wanted to do. I came in kind of a back door. I came in as a cartographer. I started out as a map maker, finding my way, so to speak. And ultimately, within a very short time, relatively speaking, over the course of my career, I realized that wasn't going to be it for me for the whole time. And even the fellow cartographers that I worked with would say to me, "Are you sure you landed in the right place? Because you kind of seem more like the people over in the DO." And they were right, as it turns out. And so I moved over there, and the rest, as they say, is history.
So wait, so what made you want to draw maps? Was that just like, oh, there's an opportunity? I'm gonna, because first of all, I feel like Brick from Anchorman. I love map. Yeah. I do. I love a map. But what was it like for you that okay, I want to do a cartography that's out of nowhere?
So when I was in undergrad, I didn't have a major. I went in undeclared, and one of my really good friends was a geography major, and as he moved into the upper classes and was taking cartography, he didn't really like it. And I just took to it and thought it was really cool. And so I would play. Back then, we were still drawing with French curves and pens and ink pens. And I thought that was really cool. So then I moved in that direction, ended up majoring in that. And by the time I graduated, we were using computers to do mapping. But my first mapping job, so this is kind of funny, was still drawing by hand and was at the company that produced the maps that a lot of spies use to find their way around.
Interesting.
So it kind of came full circle. Yeah.
So, and that was at Salisbury University. The nickname of Salisbury University is what? What's the mascot there?
Seagulls.
The Seagulls.
The
Yes.
Seagulls.
And
Yes.
then and when did you go to George Mason? Then was that like later on in life? Because that's the
Yeah,
what
that was
George Mason is what, the Patriots? What's George Mason?
yes.
Come on.
And there was about a 3-year difference there. I went to work for the map company, and well, actually, first I went to work for NASA doing geographic information systems, and then I moved to the map company, and then I went to grad school.
So she just works for
Yes.
small little
I
firms
decided-
that don't really have any impact whatsoever on the
No,
world.
this-
It's like small,
Yeah, that little startup called NASA.
little.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't a rocket scientist. I just worked with them.
It's just she just drew them. It was great. That's awesome. So here's the thing for us. Now you go from that where you get into the CIA, you are a cartographer, then you move on to be I'm sorry, it's a case
officer.
Case officer. I wanted to call it case worker. I was like, nope, that's different. A case officer. You do the case officer for a number of years, and then you transition into this world of, okay, here I am, and I'm going to teach other case officers how to lead, and I'm going to teach the leaders how to lead. Like, how did that transition come about? And, what was that like for you? And kind of what did you teach these folks?
Yeah. So you naturally begin, if you have any kind of leadership ability, then you naturally begin mentoring and teaching with each level that you move up. So when you're a line case officer, you are very much focused on your own sort of bottom line, your own performance, your individual performance. You talk with your peers, but you're not responsible for anybody else's performance. So then when you move up to first line management, that's when it really becomes necessary, because particularly in our line of work, it matters that people are prepared to go out the door. So you're meeting with them before they go out to make sure they have a plan, to make sure they're ready. And it just becomes increasingly complex with each level that you move up, because then you move up to the next level and you're managing managers, and then you move up and you're managing the operations of a whole program, depending whether you're in headquarters or the field. And so with each level that you move up, it becomes increasingly complex. So you're not so much teaching as mentoring. We do have obviously schoolhouses, and we educate our officers quite a bit. We do a lot of training, but that's its own assignments. So on your day-to-day leadership journey, it's mostly mentoring and helping them perform at things that you have already done. So that's actually an important piece, is credibility within our line of work. Case officers are, by and large, type A high performers. And it can be difficult to gain each other's respect. And so we most respect someone else. You must have already done what you're telling us how to do, or we're going to discount your opinion in many cases. We're just not going to trust it as much.
Yeah.
We'll find someone else who has done it that can help us. So in terms of what you're mentoring on, it's everything from the actual casework to then being a leader. Once you move up that couple more levels, then you're teaching other people how to make that jump from the line level to first line supervisor, which I actually view as the biggest leap, because most of us, if you think about yourselves in your sports, soccer, baseball, do I have that right?
Yeah.
Then when you move from being the practitioner of whatever you do to leading others doing it, you still wish you were doing it. And for whatever the reason is that you're not the one doing it, whether it's age, injury, progression, whatever it is, in our hearts, we're still the younger line person that wants to do the thing. That's what brought us there. And so making that leap from line practitioner to first line manager, I always found to be the most difficult for people, because that's when the letting go begins, and letting other people, and learning how to lead through others, and understand that their success is your success. And it's just different. It's equally gratifying, but it's so different than being the one doing the thing. So I actually grew to really enjoy helping people make that transition from practitioner to leader. That was one of my favorite things to do.
I think we have a lot of people sort of in this audience, Holly, who can relate, to find themselves in leadership positions, in the corporate space, from being probably good individual high performers and then finding themselves being elevated into management positions and then higher leadership positions. So, and I know that leap or that transition is really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So A, you had to go through it yourself. So A, what
Mhm.
was that like? And then B, what did you do to help others that were going through that? From, you talk about that whole letting go. Letting go is huge.
Yeah.
So A, how did you let go? And then B, how do you help others let go to make that transition?
Duct tape. She just duct tapes them to a wall. hey, let go.
Let
Fine.
go.
You'll get off of the wall when you're done holding on too tight, buddy.
That would be one tactic. Yes.
Yeah.
So we've all seen, even referencing the folks listening, that I am sure that a large percentage of them have experienced this. It's always the case where when someone's a high performer, you give them more work, and because you can trust them. So that's what the other leaders do. And then that was how I initially began to move into leadership, was needing to be an acting branch chief when I still was also a line practitioner, just based on something that happened personnel wise, someone moving on or whatever the timing was. Then I was doing both. And so that's super challenging, because that's the equivalent of when the collegiate athlete graduates and then turns around and comes back as an assistant coach, coaching the same people that used to be their teammates. It's similar to that. So that's its own whole can of worms.
Yeah.
But the letting go for me, I feel like I felt less of that because I put the people first. I am a natural helper of other people. And so when I'm looking at my colleagues who are now looking to me to help them meet their goals and to perform at a high level, I just wanted to help them. So it came pretty naturally to me. It doesn't come naturally to everybody to want to do that. And I remember one conversation in particular, and this was in a headquarters position. So I was managing a cross-functional team. So not all case officers. In the field, you would normally be leading all case officers, and in headquarters, it's very often, almost always, cross-functional teams. And this particular person had a different role, and he was very good at his job and had moved into a management role. And which was basically identifying people for something. And you rank those. You rank the importance of the person that you're trying to find. And so there's somebody that's number one, number two, and so on. And this particular officer wanted to take the top ranked person for themselves, because that's pretty juicy. That's an exciting thing to work. But they were the boss now. So I kind of had to talk them through, okay, so here's what that looks like if you do that. Think about when you were in the line role, what that would look like to you. And I started talking them through leading through others. And you're a leader now, so their success is your success, and you still get to help drive it and direct it and guide, but you have to let them learn. But ultimately, I left it to them to make the choice. I said, it is your choice. You are in the role. Ultimately, I would have directed them to give it to another officer, but they made the right choice on their own once they had a chance to think about it and understand.
I think what was so cool about that is you used empathy for them, right? You said, hey, put yourself in their shoes. You were just there. You were just that, and you had somebody in your role. What would you have thought about that person if they did this?
Right.
So that, I thought that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. And on empathy, I was described, and I'll probably say this a million times throughout my life, but it's so applicable to all these discussions. I was told that I had a deeper well of empathy than most, in our cadre by a manager. And then I was also once told that I had a heart not black enough for the DO. And I didn't really think a whole lot about what they meant about the things when they said them, because I knew who I was, and I knew there's only so much I'm going to change. I have a big heart. So I have a heart for other people, and I was convinced that I could still excel without changing that about myself.
Were there moments, and I'm sure there were, where there was that conflict of, having such a deep well of empathy, but also, maybe not being, I don't know, less human in a situation? How did you resolve one of those?
Sure. So sometimes there's two right things to do, but they have different impacts. So if you're looking at, well, this is what the mission requires of this position, we need this kind of person in this role, and the gravity of that mission is such that we have to get that right. We have to have the right person in it. But there's a person already in it who's not the right person, who's well liked by the team, but isn't getting it done.
It's huge.
What do you do? And ultimately, I had to move the person. And I was asking questions that no one could guarantee for me at the time. I was asking the questions that a lot of people wouldn't. Like, you'll be able to find them another place, right? Like, there are lots of other places where they can go continue learning, where the gravity of potential mistakes is not what it is here.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it didn't matter, because what mattered more was getting it right.
Yeah. So, mission, right?
Yeah.
Some hard choices. It's interesting. I mean, we had opportunity to spend some time with some special forces, naval special warfare guys, and they told us about mission teammate self, of how of their priority list. Is that kind of similar?
Very similar.
Yeah.
Mission first, for sure.
Yeah. And so, and then that beckons this next question. And I'm kind of curious about this. Like, as a case officer, you had to develop really trusting relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, in a probably a very untrusting environment. And so I guess then how do you manage that, where it is, okay, mission first, but there's a relationship that I've created that is based on trust. Like, how did you A, create those trusting relationships, and then B, manage them?
So in terms of trust-based relationships, our entire mission and job relies on that. I mean, that is our core skill. And to develop a trust-based relationship, you have to start with a connection. And I love this topic so much, especially in today's world, because on a human level, so many people have lost the ability to listen to someone who is nothing like them. And that's what we did all the time. They might have a different ideology than you. They come from somewhere completely different culturally, whatever the case may be. Pretty much any case you can think of. We've sat in rooms with people 180 degrees different from us, and you have to see each other as human and find that connection. And the way that we do that, the number one thing that you need is curiosity. And leading with curiosity does two things. It eliminates judgment, first and foremost, because your brain, as powerful as it is, can't hold space for truly being curious and wondering about something and a judgment, a decision already. Those two, they can't sit in the same space. I can't be wondering something if I've already made up my mind. Right. I'm no longer curious at that point. So we lead with curiosity. And the second thing it does is it gets you out of your own head. It removes self-doubt. Because if you're asking questions about the other person, or you're wondering about them, or why they think that, or how that happened, or what's the reason for that, You can't be asking yourself, am I doing this right? What am I, you don't have space for that. And it actually is a really good way to generate confidence, is to cultivate curiosity. So it goes, be curious, to open the pipeline, to develop a connection with the person. And by showing up in that space, that's how you begin to develop trust. And there's two other things. One is candor. So being true, recognizing that, I'm using a different name, or there's things that there's details that you aren't true about, for the protection of yourself and the other person, and even more broadly than that. But your essence and the truth of yourself, like, I still was the same person showing up in the room, regardless of name, regardless of whatever. And so candor, so curiosity, candor. And then this applies to art.
So you weren't like showing up with like a different identity. Like, you might have had a different name, but it wasn't like you were putting on like a superhero costume and be like, okay, now I'm going to be hard ass,
right?
Betty today.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess so there's definitely scenarios where you would need to do that, like more specific types of people where the danger factor would be higher, like that kind of thing.
Sure.
But in a normal traditional operation with a non-combatant human, you are showing up as yourself in essence.
Yeah.
Got it.
Now to your question, I don't want to go too far off track here, but in terms of the identity piece, like that's a big, huge part of this, in terms of, I, for a long time, thought I had to be someone else. Thought that the small town, big-hearted girl wasn't the right person to get it done. And that was when I struggled most. Once I came to the reckoning that, nope, I just need to be me, because that's when I'm myself, just like in middle school, that makes other people comfortable. And that's how we build trust. So going back to curiosity, candor, and the final one is courage. Got to have the courage to show up.
Yeah.
And so that's obvious in my particular line of work, but that is equally applicable with your neighbor, with your colleague. Like, somebody has to have the courage to go first, to say something first, to open that pipeline, to be curious, to even open the doorway to connection. It takes courage. So somebody's got to show up and go first.
Holly, I love that you mentioned, that you're, small town girl with a big heart, and here you go and you find yourself in an elite environment, surrounded by other elite individuals, doing really, really important work. And I imagine, like most of us, there's probably a little bit of voice in your head that's maybe doubting your ability. Am I the right person for this work? Am I the right person for this job? Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? How did you, first as an individual performer, before you even helping others, but how did you kind of manage your own sense of pressure, your own sense of doubt, in having the courage to kind of step into this world, and trust yourself to know that you were good enough to do this? Yeah.
So a couple things. One is, I was a super shy kid. So there's a whole lot of reasons that you just named, and then add to that some shyness. Like, the likelihood of me ending up in this kind of role is just so slim in terms of anything I would have even envisioned for myself. My experience was so far beyond anything I ever imagined. So that's who walks in here and, walks across that CIA seal going, whoa, like, I'm here,
Right.
But they train you really well. That's one thing. I mean, the training is, particularly the training to become a case officer, it's good. And the second thing is, despite being very, very shy, I just was always incredibly determined. So a lot of times that would just driven, like just this internal fire. And hard didn't mean impossible. Hard doesn't mean impossible almost ever, because ultimately what made me believe in my ability to do the job was reps, getting the reps, doing the things. And you just have to do it. Like, it's not a choice. It's sort of like if you jumped out of a plane, you're going to pull the cord for your parachute. Like you know, so that's kind of how the work was, just getting out there and doing it scared, being courageous, doing it scared, doing it anyway, and then having it work, and sometimes having it not work, but seeing that you could adjust in the moment based on your training. You knew what plan B was. So over time, I mean, I'm doing some research with case officers right now. And one of the things that I ask them about is, did they ever experience self-doubt? So more broadly than myself, there's a handful of people that are like, nope, I'm pretty confident. Like, no, that's just not really something that's a thing for me. But most people, even within our line of work, say sure. And a lot of that comes from looking around at the caliber of people around you.
Yeah.
And just being amazed. Like, how did I get here?
Right.
And, but then ultimately,
have you ever felt that, Travis? Has that ever happened to you?
I'm doing that right now, Josh.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Nice.
In this Zoom interview, yes.
Talking about you, Holly, not me. 100%.
Both of you.
So over time, though, I just realized, once I figured out that being myself was what I needed to do, and that it takes all kinds of different people to do this job, that we don't need a certain cookie cutter person that looks a certain way, went to this school. Like, we can't all be the same. It takes different things to work with different people. Those connections and dynamics happen in different ways. And I would say, you know, I'm a good case officer, not because I'm brilliant or I know a lot of history, because I don't. It's because of sincerity and good humor. I show up and I see the person as a person, and I make them feel seen, heard, cared about. I trust them. You know, it becomes this two-way thing where I trust them to be telling me the truth so that we can better understand the real facts that policymakers need. They trust me to keep them alive and to do the security parts. And so we each are bringing something to the relationship. And you do care about these people, for sure.
That's amazing. Hey, can you do me a quick favor? Can you just rattle off the 3 C's again? I only got one of them down. I was like so excited.
Yes. Then let me rewind in my brain. So curiosity, candor,
and courage. Yeah. Curiosity, candor, courage.
Yep.
You got them.
The curiosity and candor creates the connection, which builds the trust, which then allows for the courage. Correct.
Yep. I mean, it's all in there together.
Yeah.
However you lay it out.
Yeah.
No, I just could see all of our like coaches and leaders and stuff being like, what were those 3 C's again? Instead of having to rewind, I just wanted to get it out there. Just boom, 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 and nail those 3 down. Yeah,
that's even with the high school girls that I coach now, like, do it scared is what I tell them all the time.
Yeah.
Do it scared is one of my biggest things. And, you know, as coaches, by telling other people things, you're talking to yourself half the time too, you know, so you're reminding yourself, like, whatever it is, whether it's say yes to a podcast, whatever it is, just do it scared. It doesn't matter.
That's awesome. That's so funny. Just so you know too, like, Travis, I don't know if you knew this, but Harry's daughter, Harry Wilson, the founder of our company and actual podcast host when we're not here, his daughter just made the 14U national team for field hockey.
Yeah.
Wow, so that's cool.
Yeah, super excited.
I'll have to keep an eye out for her if I'm at any of the games. That's amazing. Yeah. I know some of the older girls on the team. Yeah. Young women.
Well, there we go.
Holly, one of the things, as you were describing, you said that they train you really well. They train you really, really well. And again, you know, it's like, I think Josh and I sort of do this podcast through the lens of so many of the corporate leaders and you know, managers that are trying to replicate that into their world as well. And I think so often we look at the results for the performance of the people that we lead, and if it doesn't, meet the standard or meet snuff, it's easy to go, well, yeah, this person just doesn't have it, and it's as athletes, we train, we play, and then we play.
Yeah.
In the corporate world, right, we perform. Maybe once a year we get a training in, and then we perform. And I just love from the CIA standpoint, for your background, how much of that front loading, how important that training is, or the overtraining, to build that sense of belief and confidence that then gets to addressing maybe some of the doubt that we have in our own performance, because we know that we've gotten so many reps.
Sure. So it starts first with fundamentals, just like in a sport. I mean, there's basic skills, and that's what they focus on. That's what they hammer us on. That's what we get reps on early. And honestly, depending who your instructors are, people out in the real world are much kinder than your instructors are. So if you can, if you get through that, then so that's actually good preparation as well, and just in terms of resilience and having a thicker skin. So that's the one thing, but it just goes back to the fundamentals, the core skills. And then even once you get out of training and you're going to do the work, normally there are opportunities for, like, there's no busy work at CIA, but there's opportunities with stakes maybe not as grave as others to practice.
Yeah.
Where so I can say that much, so you have opportunities to keep developing, but even still, when it comes to the timing might be what it is, and you might be the person in the place when this big opportunity comes along and you're the one that needs to do it. If you use the basic skills, you're going to be okay. Like, you're going to get it done. And connection is a big piece of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust the process, right?
Yep.
Well, I want to know now. Now I want to know, like, you've talked about this training. I just kind of want to know bits and pieces that maybe you translate into the corporate space, that you work with, or even into the field hockey world that you're in. Like, what did you learn? Like, I just want to know what they do to train people, because it sounds like it's a great training, right? That you've mentioned it. It's a great training. And I think that's one of the things that people want to know is, like, how do we train? How do we be better at what we do? So I'm kind of curious about that. If whatever you can say.
Yep. I might be rambling and bouncing around a little bit. So,
ramble away.
Ramble on.
Details matter. First of all, pay attention to detail. Be diligent. Have a plan. Like, this is one thing that translates so much to business. Like, every meeting that we go into has a purpose, has a goal, and it's not over the top. Don't go in, if you get 15 minutes with somebody, don't go in with a list of 50, 25, even 10 questions. Go with like 2 or 3 things that are the most important, and then allow space for organic development of other things that are going to come out of those. But when we try to cram in too much, it doesn't work. You forget, something gets squeezed out and lost. So you focus on what's most important always. And so, like, when you say you're in sales, for example, when you meet somebody, a potential client, customer, you are always trying to get the next meeting. That's our number one goal. Every time I meet somebody, like when I first meet somebody, I first meet a target, that's my only goal, is to get a next meeting. That's it.
Yeah.
Figure out a connection, be non-threatening enough to get a next meeting. So I feel like this would translate really, really well, particularly to junior, younger officers, practitioners of almost anything that are super eager. They're so motivated and ready to go do the thing, whatever it is. But patience patience is critical. Like finding that balance between moving it forward, but one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know that you have a goal, a certain amount of time, like say it's the length of a tour or an assignment, and you want to get thing X done in that time, and then you kind of count backwards. What are the things I need to do? What are the steps I need to take to get to that point by then? What comes before that? And you tick it back to where you are now, and you give yourself that timeline of meeting those metrics, and it makes it doable. Because when you just stand there at the bottom of the mountain looking at the top of the mountain, it's pretty overwhelming. But if you're like, yep, that's where I'm going, but right now here's where I am, so let me just take the next step. So that's one of the biggest things I would say. And so, like, how many meetings do you go to in life? Hopefully not many, where you're thinking, what was the point of that? There was no agenda. Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we wasting so many people's time? You got to go in with a purpose and be clear.
Yeah.
Holly, if you were to grab, one of these, these early workers when you were in that leadership role, and you're like, listen, I'm going to make the complex simple for you.
Yeah.
If you were to focus on these 3 values or these 3 behaviors, if you can focus on these 3 behaviors, and you're going to crush it in the field, right? What are those 2 or 3 that come to mind that you saw consistently, not only for yourself, but for the other people that you led that were successful?
Listen. Period.
Yeah. There's only one. We only need one.
There's only one. He encompasses everything.
Connect with your teammates. Help each other. Like, it always comes back around, because I just was always like, it can, like sales, it can become, or trying to get the spot on the field or whatever it is, it can become very cutthroat competition. And I would always say, actually, America needs all of us doing well. That's what the taxpayers are paying for. We need all of us doing well, and there is space for that. So we don't have to step on each other. So connect with your teammates, help each other, learn from each other, listen. And I guess if I'm stuck with 3, I would go back to do it scared. Just keep going. Keep going.
So the courage, right?
Yep. Keep moving. Yep.
Love that.
Awesome.
Those are awesome. Just keep going. I love that. I always think about Winston Churchill, when you're going through hell, just keep going.
Keep going.
Yep.
So that's unbelievable. We are a mindset company, right? We train mindset. We always say skill set times mindset equals performance. Obviously, we're talking about a lot of skills, but there's obviously a mindset too, and that doing it scared is certainly courage is a mindset. But is there like any daily habits or things you do, or a daily mindset that you have that have been really essential to your success or the success of the teams you've been with?
Yes, I'm just trying to distill it into something useful. Belief in something bigger than yourself, being part of something bigger than yourself, is such a strong motivator.
Yeah.
Not just for me, for everybody. And it gets back to that core need to connect and belong. And that's actually, if you really believe in the purpose of what it is that you're doing and the value of it, that's what gives you the courage. Like, I have to do this. And Travis, I don't know if you heard me. I don't know if either one of you heard me say this. Ken would remember from Elite by Choice. I say, if not you, then who?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't do it, who's going to do it? Yeah. And, looking around, type A people, we're not that kind of people where we're going to look around and, be like, you do it. I got up and jumped rope.
Yes, you did.
In front of the class, because somebody's got to do it. Like, somebody's got to do it, Yeah.
Let's show that footage now I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
So in terms of the mindset, though, also knowing who you are and trusting in that. And that's not only on an individual level, but on that, you talk a lot about this, Travis, more on that team level of like, who are we? What do we stand for? What are we known for? And at CIA, that's a thing, because we don't get to talk about what we do. We don't
Yeah.
get to defend ourselves in public when we're being attacked. And that can be really hard if you know the people in whatever scenario it is. But there's just this core knowing,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to, that self-belief just has to be there. Belief in yourself and your team can get you through pretty much anything. Yeah.
That's great.
Beautiful. Love it. I think, unfortunately, we could spend, hours upon hours with you, but I think we're pretty much up against it in terms of time frames.
There's one
please.
thing I wanted to tell you that I almost forgot. I listened to an episode of Limitless Minds where you had on, I believe her name is Nikki Lang, and she's in sales. She does and mindset. If you listen to that entire session, but like replace sales with espionage or case officer work, it's all very similar.
No, that's great.
Maybe not every single thing, but it's that shows for me the transferability of these skills, the universal nature of them.
Every coach I've been around, every great team I've been around, every great organization I've been around, it's all like, I mean, we were talking about success leaves clues. It's these principles of just like connection, showing up, helping people be themselves, listening, having care, and having people feel seen and heard. It's all those are always part of great organizations and great individuals. So that's for sure. But Travis, you get to take it. You get to take it. If not me, Travis is basically what it rolls out to. So Double T, you get to take us home. But like, what were some of the big key takeaways that you're hearing from Holly that really stuck out for you?
Well, Holly, the fun part about this is the reason we're calling it Success Leaves Clues is what clues did Josh and I learn from you? So this is our chance to kind of listen back to you. What clues stood out to us? You have a ton. I took crazy notes here, but I've got stars by a few. And I think they showed up over and over again a few times. Success, the clues I heard from you, Holly, is help people first. That's all over your message. I love that. Just that ability to put others first, to be a great teammate, and who doesn't want to work with people who take care of them. Determination and courage, right? That just do it scared.
Yeah.
Right. So much of high performance is don't wait to be ready. Right.
Yep.
Go for it, and you'll learn it along the way. And then I love this. I put a star next to this one because this also, we're going to start to see like common threads with all the different experts like yourself, Holly, that we interview. And you said, see the person as a person. Right? The person that you're talking to, right? You're starting from the standpoint of this is a person. This is a real person, which automatically allows you to be empathic and compassionate. Even if you disagree with the person, even if you don't like the person, it still is a person. I love you bringing that sense of humanity to the work that you did. So those are there's a lot, but those are the ones that stood out to me.
Yeah. If I ever get the chance to come back, we can talk about the universal facets of humanity and the things that are universal the world over, that if you're looking for a way to connect with somebody, those
part
things.
Part
two for sure.
And then separating who you are from what you do, that whole identity piece.
And I also want to, in part two, we definitely want to find out about the big success of your life, keeping this family together in a crazy stressful job where you probably disappeared for months at a time. So my takeaways, lead with curiosity, right? It removes judgment and it gives you courage. Lead with curiosity, it removes judgment, gives you courage. Number two, I don't even know you said this, but the illusion of choice. You got to get the reps in. In order to be great, you have to do the work. There's no get to in that. There's a prerequisite for excellence, and that excellence is reps upon reps upon reps.
It takes what it takes.
There you go.
Look at all this stuff happening. Boom. And then the last one that you said was the training was great because it hammered the fundamentals. We used to say, do simple better. And that's the fundamentals. So hammering those fundamentals, so all those really jumped up. And then ultimately, none of that matters if you don't have that core self-belief and you worked on yourself to know yourself well enough to trust yourself. And so those really, really, really jumped at me. So that's awesome.
I love it.
Travis, you want to take us home here?
Holly, before I take us out of here, Holly, is there anywhere where you would like people to find you? And I know you have a book, so I'd love for you to share that plug so people can find your book.
It's a book of maps. She just drew a bunch of maps.
For someone in the CIA who doesn't always want to be found, where do you want the people to find you?
Right.
If you want to be found, Holly.
So the easiest place to find me, my platform of choice is LinkedIn, because it's where the thinking people are, is what I say, and more, deeper thinkers. So I'm easy to find there. And then I'm also on Instagram, holly.stofa, and that's sort of I would say I'm less active there, but it's slightly more whimsical, a little more fun sometimes. And those are the main ones. My book is called Pineapple Promise, and it's a Thailand adoption memoir. It's the story of our family's journey to adopt our third child, our daughter.
Wow.
So I wrote it mostly for her to know this part of her story, and also to answer the question people always ask, what made you want to adopt? And I say, well, it's not a 5-minute answer, but here's a book.
Read the book.
Yeah.
I feel like we missed a whole gaggle of things that are so amazing with Holly. Like, it's just like, there's so much there. There's so much depth. There's so much. I'm so curious about the family piece, and just anyway. And then little did we know that you had adopted a child. That's incredible. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I just wanted to say that before you close out. I mean, I love you both. Had so much fun in the forum where we met, and I have so much respect for you. And so this was an easy yes. I was so excited and just humbled for you to ask me to be on. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Holly. And we're definitely going to do this again. And thank you for sharing your clues of success with us and the Limitless Minds audience. Josh and I will be back sharing again great insights from great people, performers like yourself. And we want to remind everyone here at Limitless Minds, you don't need to be sick to get better. Thanks for being here. And then little Nooch, right? Little Nooch.
And thank you so much for your service, Holly. Really, really, really. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.